Good morning.
Good morrow, my fair
how you, dude?
friend from across the sea. I'm good. Had a bit of a morning. Oh, what's going on there? Are you flying a drone on the podcast? Please tell me you are.
Well, I can't because it's controlled by the phone, which is being used for the phone call. I don't know.
Schoolboy
I'm
era.
trying to fix the drone. Something's not right with it. Tried to fly it yesterday.
Do you know what's not right with it?
Yeah.
You're flying
Yeah.
it.
More than likely. I tried to fly it yesterday, and it was saying there was something wrong with the calibration on it, so I fixed the drone calibration, but then the controller was like, nah. And then it told me to download a new firmware, so I downloaded new firmware, but now it just won't connect to the drone. Could be because I'm inside my house next to all my computers and lights and things.
That is and if you've got metal up there as well, it does.
Yeah,
it
so
can,
can
can cause trouble.
I'm just trying to fix it. I switched it on, right, and then tried to connect it, and it didn't connect. So we'll do that in the garden afterwards. Right?
Yeah.
Let's
leave it
that
for now.
Let's leave that there.
So
for now.
today, I'm doing I'm saying adulting things. I'm defrosting the freezer. That's what I'm doing today.
Yeah.
Because our fridge is, even though our landlord insists, no, everything was only put in like 5 years ago, and then people turn up and go, they didn't even make this fridge 5 years ago. This is like 20 years old, So anyway, I was doing that thing where you look on the internet for how to defrost your freezer. I know how to do it,
hey guys,
but it was more like
welcome to the channel. Today we're going to defrost the Hot Point 2.6. But first, let's get a coffee and yarn on for 5 minutes about myself. Here. Video starts at 5 minutes.
So I was looking up the YouTube on the YouTube.
On the old tube.
So some videos, like, because I know how to defrost a freezer. That's not
of course.
It was more like, why is it doing it?
Yeah.
And so this guy goes, it was brilliant. I looked up the video. There was no cinematic B-roll sequence. There was none of that. There was a bloke. I just saw his hand, heard his voice, and he, for the first 10 seconds, he was looking at a fridge with his camera phone. It was brilliant.
Great.
And he goes, yeah. So on this video, I'm going to show you why. I'm going to give you a couple of reasons why your freezer might be overfrosting.
And even that is too much.
Yeah. And he says it could be because of this. There's actually a leak in your fridge where all the freezer where all your warm air is getting in. So like an actual crack in the back of it somewhere, or there's the strip down. I can't remember what it's called. The strip down the side might
seal.
not be straight. The seal. Yeah. And that was it.
Standard.
And I was like,
French
wow,
protocol.
that is what I needed to know. And he opened it up and went, look, this is how it looks. This is what you need to do. These are the things. And I was like, great, I'm not going to do any of those things, but now I know. And then I did look at the freezer, and the strip is slightly away, and it's top left-hand corner. So I think warm air is getting through there. But, I mean, to have to phone the landlord and get a freezer redelivered. I just given the fact we're in lockdown,
Put a bit of glue on there.
Yeah, I could do.
Well, that's it. Fixed.
But at the end of
so you're the kind of guy that you go on and watch the tutorial, all right? Let's talk tutorials today. You go onto the tutorial, all right, and you go, I'm not really interested in fixing it. I just want to know what's wrong. That is. I do the same thing. I want to just know. I just need to know what it is, even if I don't intend on fixing it there and then. And it's so funny that you mentioned fridge freezers, all right? Because right at the beginning of lockdown, we'd been having for about 3 months. We've been having issues with we have a big top tall Hot Point fridge freezer thing. All right,
a proper freezer.
Yeah, well, yeah, but not a chest freezer like a Anyway, we've
to keep all your bodies in.
Yeah. Obviously, all the people I've killed while doing a drone flight. Drag them back. Get it in there.
It's legal if they can't tell anyone.
Yeah, guys, we're eating 4 bags of peas for dinner tonight because there's 3 arms in this freezer. Yes.
The worst thing is, I had literally had a mental image of you opening the freezer and saying those exact words, just like pushing around a couple of corpses, trying to get your peas and fish fingers out.
So just some feet in like Ziploc bags in the freezer.
And then you look up to the camera, kind of with one eye half open, your head bleeding, all your liver spots. They're just going.
A head in there that just winks as you open it.
Sorry, carry on. That's not actually what your fridge looks like. Looks like.
So we were having these issues with it, and it was going. and we were like, oh, what is happening? And then we just stopped.
Classic freezer.
Classic. So then I worked out, there's a manifold, all right, at the back. And if you've got a set of 2x pliers, you can get in behind the manifold circuit, all right?
Oh, yeah.
And then none of that makes sense. That's just all lies. What I did is I opened the fridge and I took the drawers out and I just give the fan just a bang. Bang! And then it would stop. And I was like, well, that's that done.
That's fixed.
I'll just pound it. And then it stopped and Pam was like, you stopped the noise. I was like, yeah, that's what I do here in this house. Just fix things. Yeah. And she goes,
I fix decking, freezers. I'm a man.
Actually, I'm a goddamn professional at building fences. I have built so many fences from scratch. And I mean like boring holes through concrete in the ground, putting new concrete posts mixed in, building in like entire fences. I built like 4. It's ridiculous. It's become a bit of a joke in the house.
I've not yet seen one.
You've been to my house and
tutorial
seen the
video.
Oh yeah, you're right enough.
So it never happened.
So, also felled a tree, a fucking proper tree once in the garden. Just phoned a guy who's a tree fella and said, "Can I help?" And then the two of us were in a tree with a massive chainsaw. Fell on it. Anyway, back to the fridge. So fridge is making a noise. Give the fan a bang. Mm-hmm. And but she was like, oh, so I was like, in my mind, I was like, I'll just do that for the rest of eternity.
Every time.
Yeah. So it does it like once a week. So once a week, I'll just go up, pull the top drawer, just hit the fan. And what was happening basically was the fan was getting ice on it. So when I hit the fan, the fan would go, and we thought that noise was bad, which it is. But then the bad noise was actually when the fan stopped, because that was too icy to spin. So when I give it a hefty whack, all the bits of ice would fall out.
Oh, I see.
So I couldn't work out what it was. Anyway, it went on for a while. Then I realized our fridge wasn't working. Just nothing was. So did the same thing. Carried it out, unplugged it, tipped it a little bit, and did what we used to do in South Africa. Because in South Africa, it was so hot. The temperature from opening fridges and freezers all the time. Your freezers always froze over. So we used to go out with a hose pipe, just spray the hose pipe inside the freezer, and just spray it all out and then just leave it out in the sun to dry. Forgot I was in Northern Ireland though. So in South Africa, when you spray it, it dries within like half an hour. But in Northern Ireland, nothing ever dries. Grass is wet.
Constantly wet.
So I was like, oh, this is never going to dry. So then I had to get a big halogen light and like prop it up inside like a hot heat lamp thing and dry the thing out. Wasn't stoked on that.
Why didn't you use a towel?
Well, I did that first, but I mean like I sprayed this mother with a lot of hose pipe water.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, I did this. Full cycle, got into lockdown. I thought I'd fixed it. Started making a noise again. Banged it a few times. Boom, fridge stopped working. I was like, oh, please not now. We've just gone to Tesco and stocked up on everything that we could freeze. Why now? And did the whole thing again, took it out. Then, of course, I did what you did. Went on the YouTube tutorial that pro dude was he just started with, this is the hot point, and whatever the model was. And I was like, that's it, straight into it. Yeah. What you want to do to fix these things is option 1. And then he was straight into option 1 within 20 seconds. Unscrewed these panels in a thing and removed the back panel and get into. So there I was taking a freezer apart. As I do. And tried it, fixed it, fucked around with it, took the back panel off, had a look inside the freezing compartment at the back, put it all back together. Turned out there's a setting on our fridge freezer called Super Freeze, and we had it on permanently. Okay. So whenever you bring shopping back, you open the fridge, you stock the fridge, you put it in, you close it all, because you've had it open when you stocked it, you hit Super Freeze for an hour, so it like just cools everything really quickly, then you switch Super Freeze off. We've had Super Freeze on for 4 years.
Okay, so now it's fixed properly.
So it's fine. It was just a button. Just a button. That's what the tutorial should have said. Just push this button. And do you know what? Do you know how I found that out? I watched.
You read the instructions.
No, we threw them away. I watched 3 or 4 videos by like fridge experts, and they were like 15-minute tutorials on how to fix and take bits apart. And I jest you not, the tutorial I watched to fix the fridge was some Spanish lady. Just a random Spanish woman who was like, I had this problem with my fridge, and she was like, this is how I fixed it, and it was just her with her phone, and she was like, there's a button here no one tells you about. She just pushed it, and she was like, fixed. It was like a minute long. Thank you.
Amazing. See, that's it, isn't it? It's like all these videos, like I had the problem with the shower, which I still haven't fixed because the issue I have is that this isn't my house. I'm renting.
Right.
So if it were mine, that thing would have been off immediately.
No, never doubted you.
I would have been it would have been like, and I would have like tried it out. But the problem I have now, especially being in lockdown, is that they're like, oh well, we'll have to get someone in, but we have to do it through this and that and the other. And I'm like, no, just send me the frickin' part. I'll do it myself. I have the part here. I've looked it up online. It did scare me a little bit, thinking, well, I could scold myself, burn my face off, but that's kind of exciting, so I wouldn't mind doing it.
Yeah.
But then the other part of me is like, well, if I screw this up, it's coming out of my deposit. So at least if it's my house, like if you broke your fridge, you're like, that's me. Yeah. That's on me. It's my fridge. I bought that. I screwed it. Thought I could do a YouTube video on it.
Yeah.
You know, and that was it. I'm done. And then you just go, well, I have to suck it up and buy a new fridge, whatever. And I'm okay with that as well, because I'm a strong believer of like, if it's something, if you look it up online and you think you can do it, you should give it a go.
Yeah.
If you then do it and you totally screw it up, just you cut your losses and get a guy in, or just buy a new one.
Yeah.
You know,
get a guy who's going to stand there and look at you and just shake his head. You just have your head down. Sorry.
Yeah, that's actually what I wanted to get back to, because you said something about like, oh yeah, when you look up, I want to know why the problem is there. Yeah. Not necessarily how to fix it, because I want to know why. Because when the guy comes round and goes, does that look and goes, oh, your calibrator's not mixing with the Wi-Fi central unit or the manifold at the back, and you're like, actually, what you'll find is that if you lift up this panel and use the 2.4 torque watch, this actually turns this on. But the problem I have is that there's not enough lubricant going into this. And he goes, yeah, well, you could do that. He goes, like,
fuck, this guy knows his fridges.
Yeah. So then they just do the job that you want them to do, as opposed to going,
Isn't that bad, though, that the assumption is that it's a tradesman, he's going to rip us off?
I think that's fair with anyone, to be honest. When I go into a bank and they're like, oh, would you like to open a new savings account with blah, 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 and you're like, yeah, it's going to cost you £10 a month. And you're like, what? It's going to cost me £10 a month and I'm only getting 0.001 interest. Well, that's not really a savings account, then, is it?
Do you ever do you ever deal with someone like that in a trade environment who just, like, because I mean, no offense to any tradesmen out there, but there is a stigma attached to that, because there's a lot of shifty fellas about. And to be honest with you, I think like video and photography has become like that now as well, because it's so easy now to just pick up the tools and be a professional. Just like I own a camera, I make some videos on YouTube, I'll do it for clients now. So then you get, and that's sort of, anyone can do it. So
I don't think that's necessarily true, because like with stuff like electricians and plumbing and stuff like that, you do actually need to have a qualification.
Yeah, no,
now,
I just mean
you can't buy one online.
Yeah, no, but I just okay. But what I mean by that is, sorry, I never going back like years ago, people just got into it. People are. There's handymen. There's guys that just drive about in white. I don't mean like trained electricians. I mean like there's guys just driving about with a van going, Stephen, handyman. I'll fix anything. Plumbing. Yeah. I'll move a mat. I'll replant a plant. And like come on, that dude's got a school degree. He's come out of school, hasn't he?
That's not necessarily true. Well, yeah, but
there are people like that.
No,
not
there
all
are
of
people
them.
like that, but there are also good people, because like my grandma. This is back in the 80s. My grandma used to have their postman. He was actually called Pete. I remember that. Classic. How weird is that? So that was back in the day when post was actually delivered at like 6:30 in the morning, when it should be, So what he'd do is he'd do his round of post, and then he'd do it quickly and get it all done, maybe do another round, and he'd be done by 10, which means that he'd have the rest of the day free to do whatever. So then he would come round and he'd like mow my grandma's lawn, fix any little bits and bobs around the house, that kind of thing. So postman / handyman. Yeah. And well, that stopped because the post office found out lots of people were doing this, and didn't like the fact that these guys had other jobs. Okay. And so now they're only allowed to do 2 rounds a day and have to do all this other stuff, because obviously you don't want people, helping other people.
What were Pete's degrees?
Well, he had no qualifications, but he was very good at his job, because he was one of those people that just knew stuff. Like he'd grown up, his dad was like a handyman, and
this is what I mean. Knew. This is what I mean, though, because there's a lot of people that can just do stuff like that. And there's a lot of people, for example, in our thing, can just pick up a camera and take incredible photos. But there's also a lot of shifty people. And I just mean, though, that the trade has got the stigma because of the way people were like that in the past. So it's over time, it's built this stigma. There's loads of totally trustworthy people. But I think what I meant was like photography and video has started. We're in the early stages of that stigma starting. It's not something that you naturally apply to us, but it's in the early stages of it. But what I was getting to is, have you ever actually gone and got a tradesperson to do something like that, and they've just been like solidly honest? Because I had a dude come up here years ago and check my I get put off by this. We had like a leak in one of our roof somewhere, and this guy came up and he was so sketchy. Parked his van outside, left it running, all right, came upstairs, climbed out the Velux window and told me, you'll need to get pretty much half these tiles removed, and you'll need to get a big lead bit put in around these. Give me this whole big spiel, and then left. And then he sent me a ridiculous quote, and then he never answered his phone. And I was like, and that was me going to Yellow Pages to a local person, and I was like, what a sketchy dude. Anyway, so that put me off for ages. So like, I didn't know what to do, so I procrastinated on getting this leak fixed until eventually I spoke to a friend of mine who's a bricklayer, who's a total legend. He came in, assessed it, and actually no, it was a chimney sweep, told us our chimney stack was tilted and that we need to get it fixed. So I phoned a friend of mine who's a brickie, and he came out and helped. And then we fixed it, and he was like, "Oh no, you just need." We just basically rebuilt the chimney stack, and he got me to help him, and it was done. But then he was like he was really honest about what needed done. And then I've had a couple of electricians come in, and a couple of guys come in to fix plumbing things in the last couple of years, and they've been like solid dudes who've just come in, and I haven't felt like they've been trying to scam me, you know. And I feel like I had like 2 or 3 guys early on that really gave me a bad vibe with that. So then I procrastinated on getting anything fixed, which is why I was on YouTube working out how to fix my own stuff.
It's a weird one, isn't it? Because I think a lot of the time it's a trust thing, and I hate to say this, but the people that I've found to be very efficient and very good and very honest are not British. Like Yasmin's dad had a whole load of work. He had a bedroom converted into a what's it called, an ensuite in their old house. Australian guys, builders, came in. They were really respectful, really well spoken, very polite. They didn't make too much noise. They put covers and carpets down, like blankets down everywhere. At the end of the day, they hoovered, cleaned up, and said, "Is everything okay? Is that all right?" They left. They turned up, and it was like you wouldn't even know they were there. Obviously, apart from when they had to start ripping stuff down. But like generally, they were just very respectful, and it was like one of the best experiences of having someone in your house doing something. Because I've had other people come around here, like, and they just leave crap. Like the electrician that came around just left crap everywhere, dust and everything. But then we had these Italian plumbers that came round. They did the same thing. They put the little booty things on when they come in, like over their boots, so they don't make any mess, and they have their own little hoover, and they clean up after themselves. They wipe everything down. They're very respectful and stuff. And it's just like, all the people that have been like that have not been British.
Well,
And I'm just saying that because that's my experience here in London. I don't know what it's like.
It's different here because everything's very local here. But I had loads of like qualms and issues with doing that sort of stuff. But then I just had a couple of guys, because I just had some sketchy dudes over the years, and they put it down. People from everywhere. Well, that's exactly it. Yeah. But it's funny how trade just like you get sketchy people everywhere, but trade just gets that. There's that stigma attached, isn't there? Like that. I think it's. Where does that come from?
Okay, how about this? Like, and then we can relate this to video as well. So when you walk into a place, like say you're like a plumber, and they look at it and go, well, yeah, we can fix that, but it's kind of old. So probably what you actually want to do is just replace all the tiles because it will be better for you at the end of the day. So you're adding, and I'm doing the bunny ears, value, because you're going, well, actually, if you want the best result, this is what you need. And then if you apply that to video, they go, I want a video of me doing a workout. Great. Okay, but do you know what we actually could do is if we spent like about another hour doing this and spent more money, we could actually get you about 5 videos and put them up online. But it is going to be more expensive, but you're going to get a better experience. No, I just want the video. And it's just like that kind of. So, but at what point do you know where that's truthful and not? Because you could say, well, we can spend another hour doing this, and we'll just make the color grading a bit better. I think when it's options. Value,
I think when it's options, if someone comes in and goes, to fix that, this is what it'll cost, But I'd advise you do this as another option, but we can do either one you want. This would be better in the long term. And I think then they're giving you advice and expertise. Where if they just came in and you were like, can you fix this door? And they were like, can't fix that door. You need to get an entire new wall. Yeah. It's going to cost you this much, and they don't give you the option. And the thing is, they're not going to do it with that. They normally find it with panicky stuff, like your boiler breaks in the middle of winter, and it's like captive audience. We've got you. Prime example. All right, prime example. I bought when I got my Kia, years ago. Got this. It was the first time I'd actually bought a car that I wanted, that I liked, and it was like
And you bought a Kia.
Yeah, well, within budget. All right, within budget.
I can't believe you didn't buy a Tesla.
Oh, dude, this was going back. This must have been like 9 years ago or something like that. So within the budget I had, which was not a lot, I just liked the Kia, and I got the Kia Ceed 3. It was like the top of the range Ceed. Got it secondhand, got a great deal on it. Got it from this place in Belfast, and then drove off. Right, it was right at the time when the Giro d'Italia was in Belfast, so I had to literally go into Belfast, pick up my car, drive it and park it in Belfast, then go and shoot a bunch of photographs of the event, of the cyclists riding through the city, right? So parked the car, came back to it, nail in the tire was flat, and I was like, son of a bitch. So I drove to the closest tire shop, not the one by my studio that does the best tires in Belfast, but there's a mainstream place, Quick Fit, whatever they're called. Right?
Oh yeah.
So, and I know you love them for MOT, but I went round to them, drove it in, and I went in, I was like driving in really slowly, flat tire, and the guy was like asking me whatever the questions were, and then he asked me for some details, and then I was like, he was like, oh, this car, whatever it was, I had to give him registration details or something, and then he was like, this isn't registered to you, and I was like, yeah, I know, I've literally just bought it. I give him the sob story. I've just bought the thing, literally drove it down the road. Can't believe it. How much is a tire? Because these are alloys. The first car I had with actual alloys. And he was like this, whoa, for those wheels. Yeah. Do you know how much he charged me for a tire? 120 quid. Ooh. For one tire, all right, on a Kia.
But was that like, because they always try and offer you the swanky tires?
Oh no, he literally only gave me one option. He was like, for that really? Tire. Oh, this unlucky, buddy. This is the tire we've got here for. So he gave me it, and I was like, really? And he's like, yeah, sorry, that's just the way it is. And then I was like, so for ages, so for the first like year of driving that car, I had this like weight in the back of my shoulders about worrying about the price of tires, thinking that's how much it would cost. Then when I eventually needed 2 tires, I went around to the place that I normally go to, and I was like, and he goes, right. I said to him, look, there's 1 tire in the back left that's new. I want to replace the other 3. And he was like, okay, cool, you can do that. But he says, like, that's a top of the range performance tire. So whatever other tires we put on, you're going to notice the difference. He's like, and if you want me to put matching tires on...
One corner of your car is
it's like a Ferrari. No, but he's like, it's really quiet. You're really going to notice. There's going to be 3... He's like, look, okay. He's like, do you want me to match... If you want me to match that tire, it's going to cost you 140 quid a tire. He's like, and then I was like, yeah. And he goes, but we could just put the normal tires on for 40. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
And he goes, why have you got that tire on there? And then I told him a story. He's like, they're mugging you off. And I was like, So I have never gone back to Quick Fit ever again because that dude mugged me off.
Do you know
what I mean? Like that was like he knew, because I walked in there like a little bitch. I just got this car. Now it's got a pump. And he's like, this.
The thing is,
mug.
Is because if you don't ask a question immediately, because they did that with me when I had to have all the tires replaced, because they said, how many miles a year do you do? And I was like,
8.
None. Yeah. 8 miles a year. And they said, because your tires, they said, they haven't been changed, and they hadn't been changed in years. Mm-hmm. I don't know when they were last changed. He said, but because your car, you don't use the car that much, they erode in a different way.
Yeah.
So when
the sidewalls dry out and stuff, don't they?
Well, something like that, yeah. So he said, you need to get these 3 changed. And they said, it's going to cost this. And I was like... That's kind of pricey, that. And they went, you can have the Universe tires?
Yeah,
like the
made from plastic bags
ones. Yeah, for like half the price. Yeah. Actually, I always tend to go for the middle option.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, though. You literally fall into the trap that you do when you go to a client. Well, there's this shit one, then there's this really expensive one, then there's this one in the middle. I'll go with that one. I knew you would.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they've done. You can have entry level for 25. You can have super pro performance for 7,000, or you can have this middle of the road one for £65 a tire. Sounds great. Give me 4 of those.
Yeah. But that's the thing, is that I don't, and the problem is I don't have time to like know everything, and it's that kind of because it's that thing of like, you want to go into it not being a complete dummy, but at the same time you also want to go into it like not knowing, knowing enough to not get mugged off, but not to spend all of your time doing it. When you go, I could have just replaced the tires myself at this point.
So are you telling me when you roll into the tire shop, because this is what I do you roll in and ask them for their advice straight up, or do you tell them what's wrong? Do you walk in and go, I think I need new tires, or do you go like this, all right lads, what's happening?
No, I
Fiat
never go
out
into
there,
it.
it's got 4 tires need replaced. 2 of them are bowling from improper turning diagrams, whatever. Do you go in with a load of BS? Because I'm always like, lads, I think the rear caliper's seized. And they're like, we'll tell you what's wrong.
When I went in, because I for some reason I went out to drive the car in the morning, and it had a flat tire, and I was like, great, that's awesome. So it was a green flag or whatever. They came and did it, and he goes, well, actually, he said it's a slowish flat. I can pump it up, and if you just that'll keep you going. And if you just take it down to your garage, they'll sort it out for you. Because my car doesn't have a spare tire.
Okay. I was just about to give you abuse for that.
Yeah, because none of the new cars have them, and I was like,
not even an energy saver, space saver tire.
No, because it has a space for it. Jesus. And they said, do you have one? I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I do. And then I looked and I was like, oh, it's not here. That's weird. And he goes, no, that's completely usual. Because he said in the newer cars, he said, so few people know how to change a tyre now, they don't bother putting them in.
What?
So he said, and that's why we always ask you, because people he said, because generally people, even if they do have the spare tyre, they won't change it themselves.
Jesus.
And I'm one of those people, because I've never changed a tyre in my life.
Really? Really?
No.
I've changed loads of tyres.
Because I've never had to, because the situation has never presented itself, apart from this one time. I've never had to. And then I've always had a spare tyre, but then I'd never even looked for the spare tyre. I just assumed every time they have a service, they go, yeah, it's all fine. So I thought someone's stolen it. And I was like, how did they steal it?
God, I've gone in from the MOT. Car? They've lifted my little tyre out of the back.
Yeah. That's why they don't have them. Is because people don't. They said it's you're better off just getting us to come and do it for you. Because
that's just insane. Quicker, I've never phoned roadside assistance ever. I've fixed my own tyre flats, I've replaced so many, 10 times probably over the years. Got flats and stuff on my cars and friends' cars. In fact, there was one day my brother and I went up to the North Coast. We're up for a family do thing. Can't remember what it was. But we're up there, and on the way back, got a puncture. And my mom and dad were up with us, but they had driven home themselves from North Coast back to where 70 miles, right, each way. My sister was with us. She had to go to work. We were dicking around. Joe and I were dicking around, driving through, finding little coffee shops and walking along the rocks and the coast and shit. Just generally arsing around. Went to fix the puncture. Realised I left the lock nut box. I had been cleaning the car the day before, took the lock nut box off, left it in the house.
That is schoolboy.
So I had to phone my mom and say, can you go past my house and get the lock nut and bring it back? So they had to drive. They were on their way home. They had to go home, get it, and come back up. We had just swanned around in a place called Ballycastle, just doing nothing while they did that. They came back with the lock nut, give us the lock nut, then drove back. So they drove 140 miles in a day for no reason.
So you would have been better off calling...
Actually. Yeah, probably. But not going to do that.
Your poor parents.
Yeah, they love a good drive though. And then we fixed the puncture. And by we, I mean I fixed the puncture while my brother and my sister just watched. And then, well, I said fix the puncture, switch the tyre. Now, the Kia is nice because it comes with the spare tyre is a full-size tyre with an alloy. So even when you have a puncture, you still look cool.
You don't have the donut wheel.
No. So
I love those little wheels.
Hold on a second. No, I do have that on that one. Shit, it was the car before had the alloy. We had a Clio. That's what it was. We had a Clio with a full alloy. So we did. We had that little yellow wheel that says 40 miles max. So driving that one back along the country roads, nice and slowly on the way home, lady pulled over in the side of the road, flat tire.
Yeah.
What did we do?
Stopped
and helped. Because we thought, we've already fixed one today. Let's just make it our day's mission. Pulled over and hopped out. Afternoon, madam. Can we be of assistance? And she was like, do you know how to fix a tire? And we were like, yeah. I just pointed at my car. Yes, we do. two tires in one day. What a day. It's a great day.
That is amazing.
So I thought, but what were the chances there of that time frame? That lady could have been stuck there for ages. But we had to wait for like 2 hours for my parents to come back. That whole time system thing. Then we decided to pick that particular road and drive past that lady. We already had dirty hands. We were in the zone for fixing tires. What a day. What a day to be alive. That's what makes me think about fate. You know?
Yeah, 100%. That is the universe doing its thing.
We haven't spoken about tutorials today. We'll have to come back to that. Didn't we have a theory? Weren't we going to talk about something today? Yesterday? Need to write that down.
Probably.
Because now we need
to write everything
we've got tutorials, and then we've got whatever we said yesterday. But to close this one off, I had a question come in from someone.
Okay, cool.
In a couple of parts, but we'll do the second part because the first part was who do you follow on YouTube, right? That people wouldn't expect. So what stuff do you watch on YouTube that somebody might not expect us to watch? This is from Davey.
Fixing videos.
Freezer. Yeah. No, religiously. No. What stuff are you like, oh shit, yeah, I do actually watch that quite a bit.
Who do I watch on YouTube? I don't watch a lot of YouTube, to be honest.
There must be something you watch where you're like, something admittedly you're like, yeah, I didn't expect that.
I didn't expect. What's your answer? Let me have a quick look because I'm of my.
I can't remember the guy that
you watch a guy's because is this subscription or is this just general?
Well, is there something or is there like a theme, a thing you watch all the time? What is this guy's name?
I watch a lot of art documentaries, and I have them on repeat. Like I love having them on the background. Like one's about Picasso, Andy Warhol, Van Gogh, Gough, whatever you want to call. I watch a lot of those, which I really enjoy. Who else
do you watch those passively though? Are you sitting there like going
passively?
Van Gogh, what a lad! Like you're just playing in the background.
Because I'm always interested.
Very pretentious.
Because I feel if you have them consistently on in the background, I always think you pick up on things each time you watch it. So but it's there.
Does the noise not get you? Because I used to have this. No, I always wanted to have skateboard and BMX movies just always playing in the background.
Yeah,
just because I thought that was cool.
I edit audio and I edit with music on in the background. Like I always have music on in the background.
Why?
Constantly. Because I love music and I love having.
That's weird, isn't it? I edit in silence.
Yeah,
like in total silence. There's no. I'll play music if I'm not editing video. If I'm editing photos and stuff, or going to or design, music on. But the minute I'm editing video, total silence. But you don't. Okay, so you're always doing art. Fair enough. For me, all right. There's a couple of things that I thoroughly enjoy. You and I have talked about Good Mythical Morning before. I quite like watching their show, and I love watching Hot Wings. First We Feast.
That gives me anxiety watching.
I like that, but I watch that like every now and then. But the one thing, my guilty pleasure, I can never remember the guy's name because it's always just one of those things that's continually being fed to me, and I don't subscribe, but I watch it all the time. It's the little Indonesian fella with the stick spade that digs a house underground.
Oh yeah,
I watched that. 2 of those in a row a couple of days ago. 16 minutes of video, and I just watched him just turn a piece of land into an underground mansion swimming pool. I'll find the link and we'll stick it below if you haven't seen him. But he's unbelievable. And it's just the sound.
Oh yeah, because it's all in sped up.
Yeah, I can't. Fast, it's one of those things I can't look away. The minute it plays, it auto plays. I'm like this. I'm looking at the camera, by the way, with like a dull face. So, see, can you see it?
Yeah.
Do the same face as me.
Yeah. I don't know if I can.
Just do it. Go. There, that's it.
I feel like an idiot.
So that's what that's my guilty pleasure on YouTube.
Yeah.
So,
no, looking at my history, I watch a lot of weird, like random stuff that probably you send me. So yeah, I don't know.
Well, there you go.
And it's hard as well because sometimes Yasmin logs in. She's logged in onto my YouTube. So all of a sudden I've got all these exercise videos. I'm like, I don't remember watching that.
Do you know, I can't cope with that. I had to set up my own Netflix and my own YouTube for exactly that reason. Because Pamela watches so much shit. She watches like I can't remember this girl. There's this Asian girl who does ASMR food eating. She just eats noodles.
Oh,
and Pamela will just watch her like forever. And then I'll go onto YouTube on the TV and I'm like, for the love of God. So then I have Apple TV and I just like, that's how I access it, or I access it through my phone because I can't cope with the stuff she watches. So there you go. Yeah, guilty pleasure on YouTube, I guess.
Yeah, I wouldn't say either of those are guilty. Maybe guilty pleasures.
Right, before he gets any more unenthusiastic, that's another episode of the Over and Out Show. Thanks very much for watching, Ryan.
I am enthusiastic.
It's been a pleasure.
It's just always a chore with you, Dylan. Always a chore.
You'll laugh at this, but my microphone wasn't even in shot for the first 15 minutes of this.
Oh my God.
It was on, don't worry. It just wasn't in shot.
Oh, that's fine. You know what? At this, I don't think anyone's going to notice. Actually, someone. I was speaking to a friend today, and he said he just started watching the podcast, and he said, "Can you two actually see each other while you're recording?" And I said, "Of course we can."
Yeah, he's right there.
He's
of course,
right
I can see him.
It's like, look at him. He's there. Anyway, I just thought that was really funny.
That is good. Yeah. Seriously.
Anyway, that's
folks.
episode. Jeez, it's just 38.
I've lost count. 38.
It's 38. Wow. Almost as many episodes as I am old.
Yeah.
Right.
Jeez.
And it feels that long too, talking to you.
Anyway, thanks for watching. Catch you guys
tomorrow.
Laters.